Here's another little mini project. I may end up tossing it in with something else because it's going to be very, very short to fix to you, maybe not to me. But this is the Targa handle. There's one on each side. When you put the Targa top here, you lay it down here, and then you pull this little handle, which grips in and pulls it down tight. Well, you can see that the little grippy part is broken off. I used a little too much muscle back in the day when the Targa top was not fully seated and snap off that part. So I ordered a new one from Pelican Parts, new old stock, and this one has got the little hooky thing on it. After a day in that metal cleaning solution, it looks beautiful, so we're just going to swap that out. Please feed the YouTube algorithm by giving the video a like. If you want to see more like this, click subscribe and ring the bell to be notified of new videos. If you want to chip in on my expenses, I now have Patreon and YouTube memberships. That involves taking this trim bar off, which has screws all the way along here. Screws that go this way and screws that go this way. So, let's do this mini job. Okay, you would not believe how hard it was to get this out. Nah, maybe you would. All of these screws need to come, plus some ones that are buried underneath. Here, 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 here. Luckily, I was smart. When I installed this, I didn't put the screws in the bottom. So I only had to get these ones out. And, unfortunately for me, what I did, because these are all cracked, and you got to put these little plastic caps back in place, I squirted a little bit of silicone sealer in there and then pushed the stopper in to keep it in place. That meant I had to dig out all of the silicone from each hole, find the screw head, undo the screw. Then it's not enough. You have to unscrew the seatbelt harness, and on the other side, I only had to do it over there, take off the coat hook because there's a magic screw under here. And I did it over there. I was able to pull it out, down, and out. All to get to this broken piece right here. So the new one, I couldn't help it. I cleaned it, I primed it, I painted it. It'll be ready tomorrow morning to put in here. But that leads me to another follow-on mini project, which is to fix these cracks. They are unsightly. I just let it go the first time, but I'm going to do something about it this time. Because the dashboard also has these cracks. And I want to perfect my technique on repairing them on this one before I try it there. I've moved over to the drill and Dremel bench, and I'm going to try to take care of one of these. Now what I've read is you want to make this into a V cut down all the way to the bottom of the crack so the crack doesn't propagate itself back again later. All the way down here, nice and smooth. And we'll see how that works out. I've got the Dremel and some potential bits, and we'll see what happens. So this, I don't even know what to call that, a squared off thing. I had to hold it in an angle because it was doing that, so it kind of cut a V-shaped slot there, and it looked like it was doing a good job, but we'll see how the other ones go. Okay, the verdict is in. I tried this in the Dremel, and it was okay. It was cutting well, but it took a while, and it looked like it was more melting and flinging than just cutting away, as opposed to that square bit. And then this bit that was too big for the Dremel, I had to put it on the drill. It did nothing. It couldn't even break through the first layer of plastic. It was just making no headway at all. So that is not relevant to this project. Well, that turned out quite well. This bit is the one for the job. It makes really clean lines as it makes its little channel. It just burrows like a happy little bunny all the way down to where the crack stops. And of course I had to unscrew the brackets that go here for the Targa top handles, and they're a little worse for wear, so I'll give them a bit of a sanding and a new paint job and they'll be happy. Then we can start taking these back to the way they should look. Okay, here's the broken one removed, no hooky. Here's the new one that I cleaned and painted all nice and shiny, and it has the hook. And here's the one from the other side. It's also got a hook, but the paint's a little messed up, so of course I'm gonna have to repaint that. Okay, we're back from Napa. I went to pick up some Bondo. $35 for that. Ridiculous. But they were having a parking lot sale with a lot of vendors that came in and free hot dogs and soda and chips, so can't beat that. And I picked up this 7-piece metric ratchet set for $25. That is really great value. And they were giving away little squeezy things from the big ass fan company, and I'll use this when I go to give blood because they give you little rubber balls. This one fits in my hand better, so I'll use this as my squeezy thing when I give blood. Anyway, let's get started with the Bondo. Well, that worked pretty well. I was a little surprised though with the setup time. I didn't read on the can how much time I had to play, and I got that corner done, I did that one, and I started that one, and it was turning into rubber, and it was done. So I had to make a second batch very quickly here, here, and here. So I'll let it dry overnight, give it a sanding in the morning, and then a final layer to bring everything up to level. And here's the result of the sanding after the first application. Came out pretty well, but there definitely is a bit of a valley because there's some shrinkage with this. Not too much. I should be able to take care of that in the second go, and then we'll do a nice fine sanding. Okay, second coat is done and dry and sanded with 220 and then 600 to a very flat and happy level. So, but it's super dusty. So one of the YouTube videos I watched says clean it off with acetone, and we'll see how that looks, and it's ready for the rubberized coating. Oh, and don't forget to locate and drill out the holes for the mounting screws and the little rubber bungs that go in there before you start your rubberization. Okay, we're outside. I've got it set up for spraying, and you can see that it's being held up in the air by this box of letter stamps, but it's completely off the ground, and I have access to all 3 important sides. And one more wipe of cleaner, and then I'll get started with the spraying. One thing I read in my previous blog way back in the day is to get the texture right, you have to spray about that fast. Just spray. And then that will, over time, with several coats, will give you the texture you want without being blobby and runny. So spray really fast. Now I swung that just about as hard as I could, and you can see this all used to be the gray of the Bondo. It's almost completely covered, and it's got a nice textured finish already. So that's working. Thank you. I'm working here. So that's worked out pretty well, and I swung that thing as fast as I could. So that's the trick. Welcome to a lovely Saturday afternoon at the workshop. and it's raining pretty hard. There's a river going down the road. But at least the roof is fixed, because this is what I had when I first came to the shop. Well, it's raining outside and inside too. All part of the fun. Okay, I've put almost the entire can of rubberizing material, or I've at least sprayed it. And I have a finish that I'm okay with. It's quite difficult to see here with the camera and the lighting, but it's a nicely textured finish. Don't worry about the discoloration. That doesn't show up in the texture. So now it's time to paint it, because the texture is quite delicate. You can just brush it off with your thumb, and it's kind of a milk chocolate brown color. So we've got to paint it, which will give us a nice shiny black, and it will lock in the texture and protect it for the future. So make sure this is thoroughly dried, and then put several light coats of paint on it. Okay, here we are with about 20 coats of very, very light coats of black paint. This actually is the underside, so it doesn't even really get seen. But this is the top side, and I wanted to make sure that the texture looked good and was consistent all the way across, and it looks pretty good. Let's wait for this to dry, and we can try installing it back in the car tomorrow. And after some minor repairs and touch-ups that I discovered once I started installing it in the car, more texture, more paint, it is coming out even more beautiful than it was before. So I'm going to let this dry overnight, and then we'll stick it in the car and be done with it. So I got the first 2 screws in, which produced a tiny little crack right here where it was before. And then this screw, the Bondo, just completely broke away and left me with these 2 pieces, which I will have to glue back into place. You just can't win. The Targa pad is in forever, I hope. Am I happy with the way it turned out? Yeah, mostly. I mean, this is good, but where it cracked, my repair looks like garbage, but everything is nice and shiny paint, and the hooks work on both sides. So I'm calling this one done. Now, can I apply what I learned here to fixing those cracks in the dashboard? No. It's too much dust. It's too much sanding. It's too much rubberizing and painting in an enclosed space. It will not work here. So my plan is to just live with it until it drives me crazy several years in the future, and then I may do something about it. But for now, this is done, and this is not, what do they call it in Formula One racing? DNS, did not start. It's not a DNF, did not finish. It's a DNS, did not start.
Just before we wrap up, I want to thank my Patreons, Peter Bouvier and Puppy, for their support. We also just popped over 2,000 subscribers, which is quite a nice milestone for my little channel. All support is greatly appreciated.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if so, please give it a thumbs up. I see that 81% of the viewers aren't subscribed. Please do, as it does help the YouTube algorithm. Take care and see you next time.